We'll try it on the.
I'm live, please.
Okay.
Oh, okay, looks like we're live finally. Good afternoon, everyone. Evening rather. I am so sorry. You see this class? We decided we will have this class come what may today, but we've had the most unfortunate situations today. It's been so hard coming online today, and we've had to move this class again and again, hoping to sort this. It's becoming really annoying, very annoying. We are so sorry about this. I'm hoping that we can last here, and I'm hoping that everything is going to be okay. We are so sorry. I apologize for starting late, for having to shift this class more than once. And we decided we're not going to move it or shift it one more time. We're going to have it anyway. Okay, so that's why even when things were still dragging, we still said we'll come live. I'm so sorry about this. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. So sorry. And every time this happens, we just say to ourselves, you know something, the show must go on. Okay, we might as well say, oh, let's leave it to next week. But then again, we said we'll be here and we will do everything within our power to be here. One day, everything is going to be so easy that we would overcome totally these network issues, and all that. But today we're here and we move. Welcome to this class. Okay, today we're talking about how much freedom is too much freedom when it comes to our children making choices about their learning and all of that. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. My name is Maribel Chima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. If you are with me, please let me know in the comments that you are with me. All right, this show is that show where we come and we talk about parenting, especially for parents with young children and toddlers. Yes, if you're a parent with a toddler, and preteens. If you're a parent of a preteen, even if you're a parent of a toddler, it works for you, because now you're learning early the kind of things or some of the things that will come up on your journey when you are parenting your preteens. Okay, your children between the ages of 8 and 13, 8, 12, 13, 14. We like to take it a notch, okay, higher. And so we say, okay, let's talk about what covers your children who are even 13 and 14, your early teens. All right, so welcome to the show. Let's look at what it is that we can do about ensuring that we are not, the freedom that our children have is not excessive. Okay, let's look at what it is that they may have or we may be doing as parents that can be capped as too much freedom for your children. Okay, I wrote a post earlier today and I said that by the time your children are about 2 years old, all right, you will begin to notice that your child wants more autonomy. Your child wants to be independent. They begin to show us, it becomes more noticeable how independent your child is or independent your child wants to be. Okay, so it's at that point, by the time they're about 2, that you see them. We are trying to cream their body and they're handing you their hand and handing you the next part, because they are conscious and they know that, okay, I can do this, or okay, this is what it's supposed to be. In some cases, you will even see them insist that they want to do it on their own. This is because your child is becoming more and more able to take care of himself, quote and unquote. Okay. Sorry. And this is a whole journey, really. It's a whole journey that begins right from when your children are infants. Okay, from that point, they have begun to grow. They began to develop neural connections. Okay, the cells of their brains are the cells of their brains are beginning to connect, right? They're beginning to connect to make sense and begin to connect through experiences. Okay, through the experiences that the children have, these neural cells are beginning to connect. Okay, and of course, this begins to this becomes the basis for how your children act and how they perceive the world and how they respond to the things in their environment. All right, so they want to do more for themselves. That's when you begin to see that they now get to the point where they want to eat on their own, they want to take a cup of water and drink on their own, they want to where they want to dress themselves up and all of that. And as I said, this journey begins from when they're infants and they're gradually being pulled to, different things in their environment that will help them develop these skills gradually in the most authentic way. So by the time they've done this, as they grow older and they get to about 2, you realize that independence has started kicking in and they want to do more and more things on their own and all of that. Now, this is when we recommend, by the time your child is about 2, we recommend that as parents, you understand that, okay, there is a new phase in their lives, the phase where they can now do a lot of things on their own, quote and unquote. At least they may not end up doing it very well, but this is the stage where they can attempt these things. Now, you need to be a bit more careful as a parent. You need to be a bit more careful, okay, to ensure that your environment is safe enough for your children at this phase. Because if safety is not a big deal for you, you may put a child, you may put the child in harm's way, basically, if you do not become more conscious about safety. Now, while you are being conscious about safety, there's also the balance that has to be created. This is the point also that you want to understand that the child is trying to know or understand their environment. The child is trying to know and understand their world, and the only way or the best way that the child is going to do this is by interacting with the things in that environment, by interacting with their environment. So you need to be careful as a parent that in the bid to make sure that they are safe, you are not inhibiting them from experiencing interacting and creating experiences in their environments. So now this is the point where we recommend that you make your home, you begin to adjust the settings in your home to accommodate the growing child in that environment. Yes, your child is no more the one that can sit down and you just cool and play and sing nursery rhymes too. Your child is no more the one that cannot reach a lot of things in at home. He's so little and so short that he can't reach a lot of things at home. At this point, they can stretch, they can climb, they can use their big muscles, right, and try to reach things that are even beyond their level. So at this point, as parents, you need to be sure that you have put things in place to ensure that that child is safe. This is the time that most of the things that were at ground level begin to move to a higher level. This is the point where the things that are on ground level that are harmful need to be taken away. This is the point where the things that are not conducive in your home or the things that are not palatable, okay, in your home, the things that will create negative impressions on your children, okay, are taken away, right? So we say to parents, it is the time to become a little more conscious to be conscious, not a little more. It's a time to be conscious about your environment and begin to structure that environment to accommodate the growing person in that environment. Dear parents, note, your child is not just the little person or the little thing in your home. Your child is a full individual. So let's say you are 3 of you, 2 of you parents in your home. Your child is a third human being in that home. Yes, your child may be little, but your child is a full human being. Full, total, like everything in place, their emotions, everything in place, just like yours at this point. And this is also the time that you need to be very careful, because this is the point where your child's mind is absorbent. So your child is absorbing every single thing in their environment, every single thing. This is the point where their sensory skills are top notch. Yes, their senses are top notch, okay, and so everything in their environment that impresses on their senses are being absorbed during this phase of their lives. So your child is absorbing everything that has to do with sight, everything that he sees, everything that he hears, everything that he touches, everything that he can taste, and everything that he can feel. The child is absorbing from their environment everything that they can hear, all right, everything provided it impresses on his senses, the child is absorbing at this stage of their lives. So as we said, this is the time that we begin to teach parents, or this is the time we begin to teach or encourage parents to structure their environment in a way that will accommodate the child in their life. Very, very key. Okay, there's a third thing I want you to understand as a parent during this phase of your child's life. It is, experience and studies has shown that parents who make up their mind to be intentional about their space, like you have a plan. You have a plan for your space when your child begins to grow from that crawler to that child that begins to stomp all around the house. Okay, parents who have concrete plans for every phase of their children's life actually end up with children who are more confident. Yes, children who are more confident, children who are more independent, and children who are more in they're more what's the word now? Children who are, what's the word, when you have a family that is not conducive now. I don't want to use the word conducive now. Children who are secured, all right? Children who are more secured in that space or more stable, right? So yes, a home that is intentionally prepared for every phase of the child's life will raise children who are more stable, children who are more independent, and of course, more confident. Because when children are allowed to be free in their environment, when children are allowed to interact with their environment and in their environment and explore their environment freely in a calm state, children like that will grow to be stable. The children like that will grow to be confident, and children like that will grow up to be independent. All right. So what am I saying? I'm saying is, as your children grow, your environment is very important. As your children grow from being infants to being toddlers, and then of course being young children, and then being preteens. If as a parent you can make it a point to take into consideration each of these phases in your children's life and ensure that you are intentional, you deliberately create your space for each of these phases in their lives, you will raise a child who is confident, you will raise a child who is stable, and of course, you will raise a child who is independent. Now, the question is, how do I do this? How do I do this? We'll have a course that is coming up soon, a workshop actually, where we'll be teaching parents for 2 days. We'll be teaching parents how they can support their children to excel within, in school and outside school. You may want to jump in, okay? You would want to jump in and be a part of that course. It's in 2 days time, actually. It's actually on Friday. That's 2 or 3 days time. All right, from Friday and Saturday, that's when we're having that course. If I were you, I would jump in. In that course, it's going to go, we're going to talk a lot about the structure that you can create in your home, okay? But we're going to talk more than that, to how you can structure yourself, you can structure your children, you can structure the environment that you live in, okay, and what strategy you can use in that environment, what you can do in that environment to ensure that your children are successful. More than that, we have this amazing program that we have every now and then. It's called Creating a Stimulating Environment in Your Home. Yes, creating a stimulating environment in your home is a whole full course where all we do is help you structure your home environment for every phase of learning and every stage of the life of your children. These are 2 programs that you do not want to miss. Okay, but the one we have coming up in 2 days time is how you can support your child. We want to teach you how you can support your child, what you can do as a parent, okay, what you can do with your children, what you can do for your children right now for you to help them become successful in this school year and successful even outside the classroom. Okay, so if I were you, I would jump in because it's really very affordable. Okay, very, very affordable. So you can jump in and be a part of this. We'll talk about the details before the end of this class. All right, so let's jump in quickly and round this up in about 45 minutes. Okay, in 45 minutes, we're 15 minutes gone already. So in the next 30 minutes, we should round this up. All right. So what I'm going to, I always like to give you 5, right? I always like to give you 5 nuggets, okay, call it that, or 5 tips that you can apply immediately. You want to set the right boundaries in your home. You want to pay attention for what is too much freedom in your home so that you're not giving your children excessive freedom. All right, let's talk about 5 things or 5 ways that you can jump in and apply right away to ensure that you are not giving your children too much freedom. All right, before we go into this, I want you to understand something, that freedom is responsibility. Okay, freedom is responsibility. The only person that deserves freedom, the person that deserves freedom, is a person that knows what to do with that freedom. All right, if you're going to give your child freedom and that freedom is going to make the child end up dead, then that's no freedom, isn't it? If you're going to give your child freedom and that freedom is going to end up harming the child, then that's no freedom. Okay, if you're going to give your child freedom and that freedom will end up sabotaging you or sabotaging your child, then that is no freedom. So freedom in essence is supposed to be responsibility. If you are given freedom, it means that you have been given a responsibility. You're only given freedom because we know that you can use that freedom to do something productive or something positive and something objective. So that's the only time that children should have freedom, when they can do something objective or productive with that freedom. All right. So it simply means that for every phase of your child's life, there is a level of freedom that is acceptable. Okay, you as a parent will know, okay, when your child is ready for every level of freedom. All right, until you have done the work, until you have done your assessment, until you have done the work, you have done the assessment, then it is wrong. Okay, until you've done your work, you've done the assessment, you have checked and you have seen that, okay, this child is ready for this. It is not acceptable that you have your children get freedom that they are not responsible enough, okay, or they are not independent enough to handle. All right, so let's look at some of the areas where we say that our children can have freedom. All right, now, number 1 is having your children have everything that they want. All right, so when children grow, of course, your toddlers will get to the point they want everything. They want, everything they see around them, because they do not even know what it is that is right for them or what is not right for them, what it is that is needed or what is not needed. So the child does not have that rationality to know that this is not okay, this is not good for me. All right, the child doesn't have that rationality. The child cannot reason like that. And at this stage of their life, really, as parents, we are responsible, and we are responsible for a lot of their choices, especially when they're really young, like toddlers, and when they are young children. So are you one of those parents that all it takes is for your child to throw a tantrum, or all it takes is for your child to get really upset or start crying for you to hand them everything that they want? All right, so the first thing you need to know is, as a parent, for your young children cannot have everything that they want. Your young children cannot have anything that is perceived as not needed. All right, anything that is perceived as not needed. How do you know what is needed and what is not needed? Remember, at this stage of their lives, now I'm talking of when your children are young, the children are between 0 and 2. Okay, let's take, for instance, 0 and 2. You can even up it up to, like, let's just talk about the whole foundation stage. All right, when your children are between 0 and 6, all right, they cannot reason from a rational place, and they don't reason really at that level. Everything is done from the place of their emotions. Okay, I feel happy about this, so I want it. I like this thing, so I want it. This thing makes me laugh, so I want it. So that's the reason you're driving in traffic and there is a toy and your child begins to shout, I want, I want, I want. Okay, that's the reason your child sees lollipop, I want, I want, I want. That's the reason your child sees fizzy drinks, I want, I want, I want. So as a parent, first of all, this is going to come, these choices are going to come from the place of your values, right? These choices are also going to come from your values per se, because really what you eat, what is acceptable, okay, how you eat, your lifestyle, all of those things still boils down to, what is valuable to you. All right, they say where you spend your money and your time interpret what it is that your values are. All right. So if you're a parent that is not into, okay, all of those sweet thing, whatever it is that, as a parent, you have reasoned out as a family, and you know that, okay, this is a no-no for the children, then you need to put your feet down, and you need to, as a parent, know when to say yes to your child and when to say no to your child. So your young children will need to learn that yes is an answer and no is an answer. They will need to know that sometimes they will get yes and sometimes they will get no. All right. So what do? You want to program this as early as possible. You want to program this as early as possible, teaching your children from the word go that sometimes they will get yes as an answer and sometimes they will get no as an answer. Let them understand that both of these answers are fine. Okay, none of them speaks hate, none of them speaks less love. It just simply means that sometimes no is the right answer for a situation, and sometimes yes is the right answer for a situation. Now, if you can teach your children this and probably create a song that you can sing, right, to tell them. So I see, yeah, the kids and I used to say, yes is an answer, no is an answer, anyone you get is just right. Okay, so just create something that your children can understand, they can run with. I mean, it's easy for them to remember. Okay, make it that way and make it normal. Right? Make it that way and make it normal. And another thing, you can take it a notch by letting the children have a reason why they are getting a yes and why they are getting a no. So if you program your children this way to let them know yes is an answer, no is an answer, and this is the reason for the yes and this is the reason for the no. Okay, this way you are teaching them from day one that it's okay to say yes when you need to say yes, and it's okay to say no when you need to say no. Many of us raise children who cannot say no, and it's because they can't say no that they get into a lot of trouble as they become teenagers, because they feel, I mean, saying no is, they feel that saying no is rejection, right? They feel like saying no to someone is rejecting the person. And that's because they've not been taught, or they've not known over the years that no can be the right answer at a time. Yes. So if from home your children know no as something that could be the right answer at the time, then you don't feel less loved when they get a no. They don't feel less loved when they get a yes, or more loved when they get a yes. They just know that sometimes no is the best answer for the time. All right. So save your children today by incorporating, or by knowing and applying the fact that sometimes you would say yes to them, and yes to the things that they need, or yes to the things that they want. Okay, and other times they could get a no. And so make this normal, make this something that is easily understood and easily accepted by your child. All right, if you are with me or you're catching the replay, okay, use the comment section and let me know if you're following, and let me know if you are getting what it is that I'm talking about. Yes, we're here today. We're talking about how, I mean, what can be too much, I mean, what can be too much freedom for our children. This show is the Skill Up Show. Usually we have the show at 1 p.m. on Monday, but yesterday we couldn't have this session at all yesterday, and so today 1 o'clock was not conducive at all, and then we had all of these technical glitches, and so we had to move it to 5 p.m. and hoped that everything would be better, but we still had a drag. But hey, we are here right now, so we understand that some of you are not here to join us and you'll be catching the replay. Let us know if you're getting value from this session already. All right, there is this session and there is a value-packed workshop that is coming up in the next 3 days. You want to be a part of it because it will be so value-packed. You can take what you will be learning from that session and run with it already. Okay? And run with it already. All right. Another time that your children have to know, okay, another freedom that is too much freedom is a freedom where your children do not get to do any chores. Nah, don't do that. Okay? Not having your children do chores is too much freedom. Not having your children do chores is not enjoyment. It's too much freedom. When children just wake up in the morning and there is no reason. Okay, it is tantamount. It is as good as saying you wake up in the morning and you don't have a reason for that day. You don't have a reason for that day. You don't have a reason for existing for that day. So when you raise children without introducing them to chores early, when you raise children and you don't introduce them to doing chores early, you are bringing your children to that phase, or you're bringing them to that level. You are not introducing to them that we were born for a reason and there is a purpose for every day that we live. There is a purpose for every day that you are in existence. Okay, so tell your children that there is a purpose for every day that you are in existence. This thing we're calling purpose is not something that is waiting on a tree that we will grow. When we get to 30, we will go to the tree and we will pluck it and that becomes our purpose. No, it's not. Sometimes it is the way we present these things to people that make that make a lot of people think that purpose is something that they have to wait and reach out and grab at some point. For every day that you are living, you are living for a purpose. For every time that you have breath going through your nostrils, for every time that you have the privilege of being alive, there is a purpose for such a season in your life. So there is a purpose for such a time as this in your life. You are God's creation, carefully and wonderfully created. So for every phase, for every time of your life, there is a purpose. So when you make your young children understand this very early in life, then you realize they wake up every day with a question: what is my purpose for today? What is it that I am called for today? Why am I here for today? Okay, and the best way to introduce them to the fact that they are needed. They are needed. There is that thing that is yours to do. There is that thing that is yours to achieve today. There is that thing that is yours to conquer today, is to get them into doing chores. So yes, get specific chores that is assigned to your child. Sit down with the child and talk about it. Okay, as soon as they are young enough to comprehend what you are saying, sit down and have this conversation with them. Let them know, oh, you know something, there is the energy in this home. Do you know that each of us is powering the energy in this home? Yes, you are a powerhouse. Say that to your child, dear parents. You are a powerhouse. You are a powerhouse. You are a powerhouse. When we bring all of our energy to this space, then that is why how we're able to get a home that is happy, a home that is joyful, a home that is stable, a home that is conducive for all of us to live, thrive, and be the best version of who God has created us to be. So let your children know that mommy is bringing in her own energy in the space. Dad is bringing in his own energy in the space. You have your own energy that you need to bring into this space. Okay? So now we're going to look at it and see, what is it that you think that you can do that can affect or that can impact, that can help everyone in this home? What is it that you can do? What is it that you can do? What is it that you can do? Let everybody pick something that they can do, and that's where you're able to agree on what chore, okay, everyone is going to apply their energy in to ensure that the whole unit is working effectively. So this is how you get your children to get into doing chores, understanding why they need to do chores, and enjoying doing that chore. All right, so not having your children do chores is too much freedom. Don't do that, dear parents. Don't do that. I beg you in the name of God. As soon as your child is able to comprehend, then they are ready for chores. So I'm saying even your 2-year-old can have a chore. Yes, your 2-year-old can have a chore. If that chore is simply holding the bottle to the dispenser and filling it up, cocking it and putting it in the fridge, okay, do it. I had to do that at some point during my journey. Not necessarily because we needed bottled water, but at the time I looked at it and I'm like, okay, what chore can my daughter do? At the time she was only about 3 or thereabout. So I looked at it, what can she do? That we don't need anyone. Okay, and that's another way for you to get your children to begin to self-direct and begin to practice self-direction. So we're looking for a chore that she can do without you having to hound her or having to tell her all the time. This is how you prepare them. This is how you develop executive functioning skill, where your child can use their working memory, okay, and all of that to apply in their life, basically. So you want to give them chores that they don't need you to initiate. Okay, this is also how you teach your children to take initiative. This is an executive functioning skill. All right, this is how you teach them to take initiatives. Okay, so you want to give them a chore that on their own they can decide, okay, you know something, it's time, or you know something, there is no water, or there's nothing, I mean, this thing is needed at this time. Okay, and hey, they don't need anyone to assist them to get to it. Okay, so you have to give them chores that they can initiate on their own and they can achieve on their own without external help. So yes, dear parents, it's very key that you have this as part of your plan as a parent. Okay, that your children do chores. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is you do not want to raise children that do not understand the place of routines in their lives. Okay, we talked about the fact that you can help your children start doing chores as a way to get them to initiate things on their own, as a way to get them to be responsible for a particular thing. All right, now you want to ensure that as a parent you are not micromanaging your home. You want to raise a home that is not being micromanaged by you. And how do you do this? Or why do you do this? You do this because you want to raise children who can become independent as early as possible. All right, children who can lead themselves, children who can direct themselves, because hey, we were all born with a soul. I mean, we're born to live through life to the point where we become full human beings, adults who can navigate the world on their own. So it was all in God's plan, the whole scheme of things. Okay, it was part of the whole scheme of things that you learn under the tutelage of your parents, under the guidance of your parents. Okay, that you grow and you learn under them through modeling. Okay, your parents will model skills to you, your parents will model, your parents will teach. And that's why in the scripture it says what? That parents should teach, right? It says parents should teach their children, teach them these things, everything. I mean, their faith, all of it. Teach them these things when you wake up in the morning, teach them when you lie down, teach them when you walk on the streets, teach them all of these things. So as parents, we have been called, we have been instructed by the Almighty to teach our children, isn't it? We've been instructed to teach our children. That's why another scripture says, I mean, this one we all know, that we should train them in the way that they should go, isn't it? So it is our responsibility to do all of this, to train them in the way that they should go and all of that. So the ultimate goal is not to raise a child that will continue to be a child. The ultimate goal is to raise an adult. All right. So you will spend this time that they are with you, raising them to become that adult who can navigate the world easily on their own. So part of your responsibility as a parent is to raise your child to become an adult who will be a contributor to the society. Okay, your part of your work is to raise part of your JD, right? Right, part of your JD as a parent is to raise a child who will become a responsible citizen, who will become a responsible part of the society. Your job is not to raise a person that will become a nuisance to the society. So how are you going to raise a person who is going to be a contributor to the society? How are you going to raise that child who will become a good part of the society, who will become the reason why we have a better world? Is that you start right now to teach them, to model, and to direct them towards being the people that you want them to be when they grow older. And so how do you do this? You do this by creating routines in your home that will help them begin to learn or begin to walk towards that ultimate goal. So you want to start raising them from today to become independent, to begin to guide themselves, to begin to direct themselves, to know what to do while you are there, and know what to do even when you are not there. And the right way to raise a home, if you want to create a system in your home where you don't have to micromanage, is to have routines where everybody knows what they should be doing for time, but it's something that they do regularly until it becomes what's going on? My network is glitching. Sorry, what's going on here? Why am I frozen? Okay, sorry. I was frozen there for a minute. All right. So you want to raise them that way so that they know what to do with or without you. All right. So that's the kind of person that people that you want to raise basically. And if you're going to achieve that, then you better start now. It's not something you say, oh no, they are too young. And that's the mistake that we make as parents every time. Oh, they are too young. At 2, they are young. At 4, they are young. 6, they are still young. 8, they are young. 10. And then all of a sudden you have an 18-year-old with you that is unskilled. That's why you hear of parents who have their 24-year-olds at home with them, who wake up in the morning and all they do is lie down there, eat, play video games, do all kinds of things. Because, hey, at the time where we should be preparing them, all right, at the time where we should be preparing them for the 24-year and 28 and 30-year-old adults that they will be, we were there shouting up and down, they are still young, and we're having other people do everything for them. So if you're going to raise that child that God has called you to raise, you're going to raise that child that will become a responsible part of the society, okay, then the time is now. The time where you are parenting them is the time that you have to raise them to be these people. So put routines in place that will help them practice what you teach them when they are not there on their own, that will guide them, that will become some sort of, a template for them even when you are not there. So yes, not raising children with routines, with structure in your home is raising them with too much freedom. That's too much freedom. For a child to wake up in the morning and not know what he's supposed to do, there's no responsibility. You don't know that this is it and that is it. This is what should happen at 10. This is what should happen in the afternoon. This is what should happen in the evening. Is too much freedom. That is too much freedom. All right. Number 4 is to raise children who do not understand the place of plans, who do not understand the place of goals, who do not understand the place of all of these things, standards in their lives. Okay, children who do not understand the place of values in their life. So if you're raising children who do not have values, who do not understand the standard that is acceptable as a family, that's raising children with so much freedom. Your child does not work or make decisions based on a standard. There is no standard. There is no modus of operandi, right? There's no modus operandi. There is no way that you are meant to do a thing. You can just do anything as you like, anyhow you like. That is raising a child with too much freedom. That is rubbish. And I hope you know that this thing that we call freedom, you can actually switch it. Okay, you can actually switch the word freedom and say that you're raising a child for destruction. Okay, so raising a child with too much freedom is raising a child for destruction, basically. All right. So you can call it, we can actually say this is what can be too much destruction for your child, because raising a child with too much freedom is raising a child for destruction. All right. So that's it. So you cannot raise children without a standard. There has to be a standard. There has to be a standard. What are your values? What are your values? What are acceptable? What is not acceptable? Do your children know this? Do your children apply this in their lives? This is another thing that has to be introduced as early as possible. When children know the standard, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, when they know all of this, what happens? They do the things, they make choices. You help them, okay? You help them set the stage, okay, for how to make informed decisions in their lives. This is how you teach children to make informed decisions, by having values and having a standard that is acceptable to you as a family. And that standard, that standard is the standard that everyone in the family will be held accountable by. So you will be accountable by that same standard that you're holding your children. This is how, as a parent, you raise children who will understand boundaries and all of that. And this is how you protect your children. Okay, this is how you protect your children. This is how you guide them. And this is how you lead them, right, to be the best version of themselves. Finally, do not hand your children anything that you have not taught them how to navigate with. Do not hand your children anything that your children are not prepared for psychologically, physically, and mentally, even spiritually. Do not hand your children anything that your children have not mastered how to use. Do not hand them any of these things. For instance, if your child has not learned to drive, do not hand that child a car. A lot of times we won't do that because we're afraid of death, isn't it? Okay, if you have not sent your child to a driving school, you have not sent your child to driving school, the child has not passed the driving test, and the child is not of driving age, okay, then you cannot hand them the key of a car. All right, now would you do that? You wouldn't do that. So yes, that would be too much freedom, handing your 10-year-old a car key when you have not taught them how to drive, when you have not, they do not understand the danger of having car keys, okay, and having a car. And of course, it is statutory or lawfully wrong for them to have a car at that age. That is you handing them the key to destruction, isn't it? So this is freedom, excessive freedom, right? Good, that's it for a car. Do not hand your child a device. Do not hand your child a phone. Do not hand your child a laptop. Do not hand your child a tablet. If your child has not been taught how to navigate the space and the platform that these things will give them access to, it is tantamount, it is as good as handing them a car when they do not know how to drive. As a matter of fact, the car will do them only bodily damage. But these gadgets that you hand to your children, when you have not raised them enough, when you have not prepared them enough, when they are not of the right age, and when they are not of the right psychological and mental stability, when you hand them this, you do not just do them bodily harm, you do them mental harm, you do them psychological harm, you do them spiritual harm, you harm them in every way. So I dare say to you today, handing a child who is not ready to have a gadget like a phone, a laptop, a tablet, and all of that, handing it to them when they are not ready is worse than handing them a car key when they are not ready to drive. At least the car key will only destroy or break a bone or whatever. This one will destroy their body, their soul, and their spirit. So I want to leave this. I hope it haunts you enough, all right, to start making sure that before you hand your children these gadgets, you know what you are doing. You have made sure that they understand the essence of these gadgets in their life. You can ask yourself the question, these gadgets that I'm handing to this child, to what gain is it? What would it add to the life of this child? What will it take away from the life of this child? How productive will it make this child? I've heard people say things as lousy as, oh, all their friends have phones. They need the phone so that they can connect with their friends. This is how we lie to ourselves, to give ourselves reasons to do the wrong thing. Who told you that there's anything wrong? If your child today doesn't have a phone at 12, you think their friends will stop being their friends? If your child today at 13 or 14 doesn't have a phone, you think that by the time he gets his phone at 18 and he gets the number of that friend who has relocated and is in Africa, or that friend that is in Malaysia, or that friend that is in the US, and he picks the phone and he says, oh, hi, just so it's your friend K. They will still go, it's still the same thing. Stop all these things that we do. We just make excuses. Abby, we just make a lot of excuses. If you have a bestie, if your friend has a bestie in year 6, I promise you, the day he gets a phone at 18 and has the contact of his bestie, and they call themselves, the bestiness will continue from there. And who says they need to have personal phones to have their friends? What is wrong with them talking to their bestie on your phone? So when we do not have anything, we are constantly looking for excuses. Yes, constantly looking for excuses to justify the things that we do. But what I've come to realize more than anything is we give our children these things because we want to project our lack in our children. Oh, we didn't have all of these things when we were growing up. Oh, okay, my children should have it. Oh, I struggled when I was growing up. I don't want my children to struggle. Oh, my parents didn't give me this. Oh, I want to do it with my children. Sit down there. They play. They play. As they say, they play, okay? They play. Because really, as I said, if you are asking yourself this question, to what end? To what end is this gadget to this child? To how helpful is this gadget to this child? What will happen if this child doesn't have this gadget? Okay, let me leave you with this. It doesn't really matter why or no why and all of that. Have you thought of how distracting these gadgets can be even to you as a parent? If you can think of how distracting these gadgets can be to you as a parent, if it's really, really distracting, then think about your child. Just think about your child and how distracting these things can be for them, so that you can make up your mind and decide as a parent if you want to be the reason for the distractions that your children have, or you want to be the reason for equipping your children, or the reason why your children can, the reason why your children can focus. Okay, I was in the school the other day, and the head of school at our son's school was talking about, so he's in an exam class right now. It's the year, he's in the year where they're going to be writing statutory exams and all of that. And she said to them that day, she said, something, this is the time for you to tone down on a lot of things that are not necessary. Okay, think of it this way: you're going to be writing an exam that you do not have a chance. You're going to be writing an exam that is going to leave you with an impression, going to leave you with a certificate, it's going to leave you with something that you are going to use, or you're going to need, for the rest of your life, maybe. Okay. And then some of these things that you do are things that, or some of these things that could distract you today, are things that you can jump right back to as soon as you're done with these exams. So why don't you choose to focus, on the exams right now, and leave some of these things, and so you can get back to them later. And there was a lot of, it was a lot of sense. I hope that every of the kids, or the parents there, can convey this message to our children, because really, where your children are at right now, what they can do right now, it becomes more and more difficult as they grow older. So why don't we help them maximize their youthfulness and put their youthfulness into the right use right now? All right, so that's it. That's my 5 for you. Okay, 5 things that you can get your children to do. Okay, or 5 things that 5 things that may be too much. Okay, if you do not, maybe too much freedom, or feel too much freedom if your children are not doing them. Okay, or otherwise, for instance, for the gadgets and all of that, that could be too much freedom if your children have to use certain gadgets at a time when they are not ready, when they have not been prepared, and when they have not been educated, and they cannot navigate on their own. That can be really too much. For your children not to have standards, no values, no standards. They make their choices based on how they feel per time. How I feel, I like him, I like it, and all of that, not based on what are the standards that are acceptable as a family. So in that standard will come, when do we use this? When is this allowed? When is this? So through those standards, you're able to make put certain policies on ground as a family. And everybody understands this right from when they are young, or too young to even, oppose it. So it's introduced early, and it becomes a standard even till they grow. Thank you very much for joining me. Okay, it wasn't very fun not having everyone here with me for this session. If you're catching the replay, please write in the comments and let us know that you got value from this session. Okay, if you'd like to be a part of the workshop, you should be a part of the workshop that comes up in 3 days' time. We have the information scrolling on the screen right now. You use that information and register for an amazing and educative session. It will leave you empowered. Really, 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 really much so. It will leave you empowered. All right. And then, of course, we have the ultimate one, the mastermind circle for every child between 6 and 14. Don't just take this home and use this don't just take this home. Okay. There is much more to parenting and much more to helping children become the full version of themselves than just trials and one-offs. You want to get your children into a system. You want to get your child into a system that will walk them on this journey one day at a time with their peers, okay, with other people like them, inspiring them, motivating them, growing together, and becoming everything that God has created them to be. So you can join the Mastermind Circle with just 50,000 Naira for an entire year. We are working with your children, hearing from us, learning from us, working together for 365 days of the year. How good can that be? Just tell me. So it doesn't get better than this, right? It doesn't. All right, so thank you very much for joining me. My name is Merva Chima. Always excited to be your host and be a part of your parenting journey. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye.